radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Welcome. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. Here we go. Today's Wednesday, October 17th, 2018. 293 days into the new year, just 72 days left. We are live from a bunker, as always, from a bunker in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planets. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It's going to be a great night tonight. It's always great when Michael Lee Hill is on Fade to Black. But tonight, he's here to reveal the members of the secret AR Borden NSA group. That's right here on Fade to Black. Get ready. We're going to have everybody here tonight. We're going to have 5 members of the group. AR Borden is no longer with us. And, of course, Michael Lee Hill was a member of that group, so he is here. So we have 6 of the 7 will be on this show tonight. How was that? Man, it's going to be great. So there you go. Very special night tonight, and get ready for everything. We're going to run this thing all the way up to 10 o'clock. There's no other way to do it when you have this many guests, and there you go. So that is tonight. Tomorrow night, as if that wasn't big enough, right? Last night, Leo Zagami, right? Oh, man. An Anomaly on Monday. Wow. What an amazing week, right? Here on Fade to Black. And tonight with this very special show that we've got lined up for you. And then we wrap it all up tomorrow with Fader Night. Yeah. Open lines all night long. So get ready. Let's go. Now, been hanging out. I do it all week long anyway, but over at OnStellar this week and going through, you can go and sign up and get your account going. It's a social media platform, right? You can do everything over there that you can do anywhere else, anything you can do, anything you want to do, right? Form groups, make friends, whatever, schedule events. You can post, you can write. There's a word editor there. You can edit. You can post. It's just an amazing platform built for our community. So hanging out there all week this week, and I did a post, and your comments were just great. I did a post from my rant about my version of the Big Bang, and I'm just going to say this. the different viewpoints, when I bring up something like that, right, my version of the Big Bang, and I bring it up and I post it there, and to get these alternative takes on the universe and us, and I'm reading through there, and I'm like, man, I agree with that. I agree with that, too. I also agree with that. Completely going against what I wrote. And I find myself agreeing with everybody. It's just so bizarre. Anyway, come and hang out with all of us over on Stellar. The knowledge is just great. Who posted this? Is that the Breakfast Club? That's the Breakfast Club. Who posted that? That is awesome. That is awesome. Okay. Let's see. Where am I at? Twitter is at JChurchRadio. Twitter is at JChurchRadio. Facebook, you know what to do there. And, of course, YouTube. By the way, YouTube went down last night. Yes, it did. And still, maybe you've heard something. Not much out there today about what the cause was. And it seems that Google and Facebook are, being a little tight-lipped about it. But it went down. It went down on the East Coast in the United States, West Coast. Some central states had YouTube, but couldn't play videos, right? The website would show up. Some states, like here in Southern California and up and down the West Coast, we had that team of monkeys warning pop up. And some states, some countries had the YouTube page, but you couldn't play any videos. So everything else lit up, right? Facebook lit up, Twitter lit up. People needed to get their fix on. They were they had to click on videos somewhere. But Facebook went down just about everywhere for about an hour. And it was across Europe, right? China, Japan, Australia. Yeah, New Zealand, it went down. Don't know if it was a hack or what, but it went down. It definitely went down. Yeah, it's back today, though. Messed with numbers, too, as well. It messed with numbers. I saw that. Anyway, let's go. Let's get the show cracking. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B on Twitter is the sandbox. And, of course, hashtag F2BQ is Fade to Black Questions. It's going to be a very busy, packed show tonight, so get ready for all of it. You can also email me, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. Speaking of Facebook, got some pretty massive breaking news here. Facebook shareholders have signed a proposal to replace Zuckerberg as chairman. That's right. Facebook's board will vote early next year on a proposal to create an independent chairman, thus removing Mark Zuckerberg from the position. This is really, really big news. Now, there's a little bit of a backstory. The backstory is this has been done before. This is not with Facebook, with the shareholders trying to remove Zuckerberg. This isn't the first time. It's happened before. But this is different. There's a different climate. There's things going on now, and there's a lot of issues that have been raised, not only with privacy, but other things, and censorship. And, of course, 800 pages were removed this week of right and left-wing media, and down the center, too, as well. So there's that. There's a lot going on that we had the Facebook hack. And it turns out it wasn't technically a hack. I mean, it's just weird things. Google Plus, which is out there, doesn't affect Facebook, but all of these things with data and hacking are all coming at the same time. And so maybe the shareholders are looking for a new leadership there. And it's sad in a way if you're Zuckerberg, because this has been your baby since the beginning. But maybe it's time to move on. Just go somewhere and spend that money. Go feed some people in Africa. Go build some schools. Do something with your life. But there you go. The voting will happen with the board right around the first of the year. Yep, that's what we got to get through. You got to get through that first of the year thing with any corporation, but then after that, it's on. Board comes back from vacation, right? They go out and they hang out in Fiji somewhere, some private island, and then they come back here and they get back to business. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. It's just $2 per month. It really helps support the show. It's how we do this every single night. It's just $2 a month, and you get all of the apps that you need, any platform, and we have over 900 archive shows right there. Newest first, in a descending order, just $2 per month. You can also become a Fade or Not over in our membership section on the site. It's easy, and you get all of that cool stuff. You get autographed shirts and hats, get a private email to me, you get the bunker cam, you get commercial-free, downloadable archives that you can play anywhere that you want without commercials in them. You get all of that in our membership section over at jimmychurchradio.com. Don't forget all of our sponsors here. Click on their banners at jimmychurchradio.com. I was going to have Ronnie McMullen in here tonight, and he hasn't popped in. Normally, he is here. Ronnie, if you're listening, where are you? I've been waiting. If Ronnie pops in, we will get him in here. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today. Eminem is 46 years old. Ziggy Marley is 50. And our dead guy's birthday today is Evel Knievel. 1938-2007, died at the age of 69. Evel attempted more than 75 ramp-to-ramp motorcycle jumps. In 1974, he failed at an attempted canyon jump across the Snake River Canyon in his SkyCycle X2 steam-powered rocket. And I actually listened to that live on an AM radio. There's Ronnie. There's Ronnie right there. I was just calling out for you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Man, I was getting worried. I was like, where's Ronnie?
It's
What is that playing in the background? Is that me or you? Hold on for a second. Is that me or you?
I think it's you.
Okay, it's gone. It's gone. I had something funky playing in the background. How you doing, Ronnie? What's cracking?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Jimmy?
You know, life is wonderful. We've had just the most amazing week here. I know that you just got back from Scotland, and I'm fully jealous about that, but I'm sure that your batteries are recharged and you're ready to go. How was your trip?
It was great. It was really great. And I tell you, the Scots have got it going on. So, you know, I went back to kind of trace old roots, and the McMullens pretty much got kicked out, and they're in Ireland and England now. so no, I'm just Scottish people are just wonderful. Yeah, I had a great time.
I'm just picturing Highlander, you know, and the McMullen clan.
That's funny. We were a clan. That's what we were, and yeah, I guess we're in Ireland now, and I can either be a construction worker in Ireland because there's a big McMullen construction company, or I can be work for a pub in England because there's a big McMullen pub. So we'll see. You know, maybe I'll get to go to Ireland another year.
Now, what does McMullen mean? You know, it means something. I mean, did your family Mullins? Did you guys McMullens? I mean, what is?
We actually came from Macmillan.
Macmillan.
Macmillan, Macmillan, I think it is. And we were like protectors clear back in the clan days.
Right.
So we were protectors and had the double swords, and that's kind of what we did. And, you know, honor, respect, I mean, all that kind of stuff. At least that's what the coat of arms says. And I like what it says, so I'm going to go with it.
I wanted to ask you, Ronnie, you were in radio, and you had a show that dealt with UFOs and conspiracies for a number of years.
Yes.
And when you were doing that show, when did the show end? What year?
I want to say 14 for UFO Encounters.
Okay, 2014. And how long were you on the air?
4 years, 4 or 5 years with just UFO encounters. Yeah.
Okay, so you started it in around 2009.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so back then, I'm just trying to think. So that's 10 years ago. Did you have guests? Were you guys covering things like the secret space program and what was going on with that and the possibility of maybe a breakaway civilization or bases on the moon and Mars and
there were bases on the moon. We were just scratching, for me anyway, we're just scratching the surface of talking about Mars, and obviously there was a colonel involved, and I had him on the show, and he denied everything. And I had some other people that were on the show saying that they were slated to go to Mars, and of course I asked why, and because basically the Earth's going to be toast, and the elite will be sitting in Mars, and the air and the water, everything is great in Mars. It's totally like Earth,
right?
So I just thought, wow, that was interesting. But most of the stuff, not most, I delved into a lot of things like New World Order and MK Ultra and all that kind of stuff. But I also went kind of in a direction that made my show a little more different, was the fact I would deal with abductees. And I didn't get the normal book writers and all that kind of abductees. There's like a little connection that they have where they help each other because no one really knows what they've gone through. And sometimes talk show hosts rip them up like, you're fake and this kind of thing. And so they just get to where they don't even want to come on air. And most of them wouldn't come on air. There was 2 or 3 that trusted me to go on air. And so it was, and that was really what I was interested in, because I want to know why these people are being abducted. What was the purpose of it? And that was kind of where I scouted.
And when you and you're right about that, because when you interview somebody that is courageous enough to it's one or the other, right? They're courageous enough to come on and tell their story and their experience, or they're courageous enough to come on and see how far they can BS the audience. Right?
Yes.
Either way, it's courageous.
Well, it's kind of like the female that's been raped.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Well,
and she's bold to go say something, and she's, and it's not something you're really proud of going out there and telling everything about. And I always used to say this on air. I'd say, okay, so if you have a female that's been raped, brutally raped, how would that be to interview that person?
Yeah,
now imagine
couldn't do it.
Now imagine interviewing somebody that's been raped by something not of this world.
Right. It's difficult.
It's like times 10.
Yeah, I know.
So this
I don't
is where,
like going there.
and I try to get people to understand that, and a lot of people did, and and I maybe I was bamboozled once. I don't think so. And then then I put the pieces together of like, okay, I talked to 7 abductees. What are the traits of every abduction? Mm-hmm. And there's similarities, and that's the stuff I like to do. I like, that was always kind of fun for me, and getting people that weren't being interviewed by others was always kind of fun too. Or getting interviewing somebody that's been interviewed 1,000 times and asking totally opposite questions.
Well, and so once you get the reputation of listening, of being a listener and asking the right questions, as opposed to being a debunker or trying to pin somebody in the corner or trying to if you have that kind of reputation, nobody's going to come on the show. Nobody's going to it's difficult enough for them to come forward. Totally. If they don't get an opportunity to tell their story and their experience as they believe it, or the opportunity to tell their BS, right? Right. All they want to do, if it's a big lie, they want to be able to get to the end of the lie and let the audience be the judge. And the audience is either going to go, "Oh man, fun story."
Well, and this, Jimmy, because I'd have a guest on, and that guest would be full of what,
right?
And who knew it? The listeners.
Right?
They're like, "Oh my God, get this guy off! He's taking up all our time."
Right. Which
that's
is
the cool thing.
That's it. That is the cool thing. It's a cool part of it, I should say.
Yes, being one with your listeners is, I think, is spot on. It's really cool. And I notice, and I've watched this since the years I've been on with you. You're very close with your listeners, and they're very close with you. I mean, when I was at the whatever we went to January a year ago, whatever,
right?
People come up and go, "Oh yeah, you know, Jimmy Church is great," and be one after another, after another, after another. Pretty soon it's like, Jimmy Church isn't going to live anymore. I can't hear his name anymore.
I know, man. I felt so bad for it, and I hear you there. Be careful what you wish
I'm
for.
Teasing.
No, Ronnie,
your name was being talked about a lot.
Yeah, just be careful. Be careful what you wish for. That's all I got to say when it comes to that.
You are a celeb, dude. You are. You're a celeb. I felt just honored just to shake your hand, baby.
You're the famous one. So now let's talk, if you don't mind. I want to change gears a little bit. I want to talk about the CBD, and the reason why I want to do it is right now. I think today is bigger than yesterday for CBD. Tomorrow's going to be an even bigger day. Everybody's talking about it. Now we're, Canadian companies and in drinks and this, we're going to do this with them. It's good. It is now going mainstream because everybody understands it's got tremendous benefits and it actually works. But let me say this. I take it every day. I take the cinnamon version and I take the au natural version. And I have gotten my brain has gotten to the point where it knows that it's going to be, the body's about to be corrected a little bit more, get it back into alignment. And I love, there's something that's going on here, right? It's like, when you
CBD is for chemistry.
It is.
Okay.
It straightens you out.
So a lot of people have chemical imbalances out there. Okay. So they're a little bit over here. And this is why you're going to be agitated, angry, anxious, depressed, 1,000 different things. Okay. Chemical imbalance. And we, if somebody gets mad, you're having fights with your wife or your husband all the time, you might want to be looking something deeper than just you're mad at your husband or your wife. You might want to be looking at something's wrong with my chemical balance. Well, this is the wonderful, the 3-letter oil is the way to go.
Right.
And I tell you, and that's not even counting, things like inflammation. And inflammation, think about this. When you're having stress, and do we all have stress? We don't make our time zones. We can't control the situation. We get stressed. That CBD, what it does for stress is like over the top. And I know this for obviously I take it, you take it, Jimmy, but also the fact that a lot of people have emailed me and, oh my gosh, this works. This really works. And yours is the best. And I love every email I get like that because ours is, and it's hard to find. I mean, they are out there, but other companies, they don't go GMO free and they don't go organic.
Right.
And mine is. And plus I have a mix of oils in there, so it's fast absorption. And I'm not trying to say I'm the best, but I'm kind of the Ferrari of the world. You know what I mean? So, and I try to keep it in the Chevrolet pricing. But yeah, it's great. And I talk so much about it because I love it. I mean, it's like, I can't imagine a world without CBD.
I talk to so many of my friends inside and outside of the industry. Everybody, I'll just drop the bomb on them. I just want to know. So, do you do CBD every day? Every day. And I've gotten this from people that I would never expect. Now somebody just tweeted that they're taking 250 CBD right now that they've gotten from you. Yes. Can they go up in dosage without any problems? I know the answer to that, but I want to hear from you, Ronnie.
No, you tell it. You tell the answer, and I'll tell you if you're right.
I went 250 to 500, and I'm doing 1,000 now.
Okay, so that's the right answer.
That's it. I'm doing 1,000.
Here's the thing. Let's say you're on 1,000, and you feel in your body, in your intuition, whatever you want to call it, that it's too much. Then you just take less of a dropper.
Right.
It's real simple. Or you take 1 dropper a day, or half a dropper a day, or a third of a dropper.
Right.
So I feel if you buy 1,000 milligram, you kind of get more mileage.
Yeah, you do, because you can take a half a dropper. This is what I do, Ronnie. I take mine right before I go to bed. It's on my nightstand. I do. I take it right before I go to bed. And
it's really good.
Well, it's great for dreams. You know, there's no drugs involved here, right? But the
THC is 003,
right.
0.003. So there's no getting high. And people, ask me, well, what if you drink the whole bottle? I go, dude, you're relaxed. Because if you drink the whole bottle, you're not going to be high. You can get in the car and drive down, and you're good to go. So, it's that good.
I take it right before bed. It's what works for me. I take a full dropper, and but also it's staring at me on my nightstand, right? So I sit down, and I look, and there it is, and I'm reminded, and boom. So that's what I do.
And I think it's important to realize, and I've had many emails say this, we've had other CBD oils and we've tried them. None of them work like yours. And, I take great value in that kind of email. And I don't think people are going to email me that just to kiss my rear end. I think they're telling the truth. And I've noticed I've taken other CBD oils, and I would agree with that, but then that sounds like you're patting yourself on the back. So right. I always look for whether, it doesn't matter what product I'm getting out there, I always look, what are the people saying? What are they feeling? Because it doesn't matter what I say. I do my work to get the right stuff in the right bottles and so on and so forth. But what do the people say? And when I get emails like, thank God you've done this, blah, 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 I cherish those. I mean, and I don't get a million of them or anything like that, but you get enough of them to know you're on the right track.
I can't speak enough about how I feel, and I have been able to, and I know I mentioned this a lot, but it needs to be repeated, which is I abused my body for years, for 50 years until you came along, Ronnie. And I have over at the house in the garage, I literally have a garbage bag full of supplements from different sponsors and people that have mailed me stuff and different trade shows and things that have come in the mail and all of that. And I tried it none of it worked. And as soon as I got on my little program that I do with Life Change Tea, which is, of course, started with the tea. That was first. And then we did colostrum in the tea. That was our next combination, in which we still do. And then it was pine bark, and it's olive leaf, and moringa, and vitamin C drops, and, of course, the CBD. And, it's 4 or 5 bottles right in a row, tincture, and I feel great. And I've never felt like this before. And I think it's important to know that a talk show host, because I am one, a talk show host has to be square. You can't have a cold, because then you go, hello, people. Right. So it's really important. And it's funny because I listen to some of the mainstreamers, and they'll get on, hello, I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. And I'm like, you're toting all that product. How come you're not feeling better? That's right. And
it doesn't work.
I know. And I can say that I have been on this program now of yours for 2 years.
Yep.
And everybody has noted the change. Everybody has seen what I've gone through. And my diet hasn't really changed that much.
No, because you're always going to eat those greasy burgers because you love them. And that's a part of Jimmy Church.
I know. Man, you know what?
It is. You can't change that. And you know what? I mean, I had to, or I'd be right there, right beside you.
Oh, man, I haven't been to In-N-Out now for, like 2 months. Can you believe it?
See, I crave In-N-Out, but I crave Bob's.
Yeah, Bob's is good.
Tommy's.
Yeah, Tommy's.
Habit. Habit?
Yeah,
Habit's good. And see, in LA, you've got a bunch of stuff that I don't even know about that's right over the top.
Yeah, Tommy's, the Shack.
Yep, Tommy's.
The Shack chili burgers. Well, I got to get out of here, Ronnie, and
all right, brother.
And I'm going to send everybody over. You know what to do. Life Change Tea. GetTheTea.com. Use the promo code FADER. Get yourself some free shipping. Head over to Ancient Life Oil, CBD. Change your life. Ronnie, you're the best. Never change.
Appreciate it, man. AncientLifeOil.com. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks a lot.
Ronnie McMullen. AncientLifeOil.com. The banners are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. There you go. Let's kick off this night. We have Ronnie's been with us for the longest time, and I say this so much. Our sponsors are the best. That's it. I use it. I love it. And I'm here to talk about it. So help support the show. Help yourself. Go and visit AncientLifeOil.com. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back with our guest, one of many tonight, Michael Lee Hill. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Times are changing. The circus of politics, healthcare's low standards and high prices, and let's not forget food quality. What to do? Arm yourself with Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. In a world of chemical imbalance and poor air and water quality, it's time you make a move. Log on to GetTheTea.com and stock up on organic non-GMO supplements. Don't forget the tea. Cleansing your body never felt so good. And we have a brand new tea called Takedown Tea, which helps support healthy glucose. All natural body support so you can be at your best, naturally. All you have to do is log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. We're not a fad that comes and goes. We are the real deal. Join us and armor up. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Changing America's health one tea bag at a time.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find Fast Start Diet on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code TALK to get 10% off your first box. And as a special bonus, Fast Start will include their #1 rated Lipo-3 appetite suppressant spray free with your order. This is Jimmy Church. And whatever your diet plans are, do what I did. Go to faststartdiet.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Michael Lee Hill is here. Tomorrow night is Fader Night, open lines all night long. We've got 5 guests coming on tonight. And the secret space program has been referenced by many times over the years, going back literally decades. And one of the more famous examples is Peter Levenda's excellent presentation in Amsterdam back in 2011, which connected the dots from 1947 through the Kennedy assassination and beyond. And over the last 10 years, researchers from every side of the community have been writing, speaking, and making documentaries about the secret space program. Richard Dolan has published some of the most compelling material on the subject, and with it is the possibility of a breakaway civilization. And before that, we even had Project Serpo. And throughout the 90s, the term Secret Space Program, or SSP, really picked up steam. And for me, it wasn't just that there was such a program, or many of them. It was that so many authors and researchers were mentioning it. Different versions of it. A wide group of researchers that, quite frankly, didn't know each other. Some were fringe, some were mainstream, some were from the military, some were civilian. And that was key for me to realize and come to the conclusion that something was going on. And sure, today you can find the secret space program in hundreds, if not thousands, of videos and books and blogs and websites, and it's great. But when you really study the subject, like I have for the last 30 or 40 years, you can see the trends and connect the dots. But it's when somebody comes along like Michael Lee Hill that I really sit up and take notice. Why? His information and experiences are like nothing I've ever heard before. And trust me, I've heard it all, or at least I thought that I did. He has brought forward names, documentation, dates, places, gatherings, very specific things that, quite frankly, nobody has ever done. Not to my knowledge. And one of those names was AR Bordon and his secret meta group. Allegedly part of the NSA, bold claims for sure, but Michael is naming names. And he said to me once that he would introduce me to everyone. Well, tonight, we're going to do that. Michael is delivering on that promise. We have 5 people from the secret group here tonight on Fade to Black. And in classic Fade to Black fashion, this is live, and I will meet everyone for the first time right along with all of you. And by the end of the broadcast, hopefully, we'll have some of the answers to the questions that we seek. That's right, because Michael Lee Hill is here to reveal those members of that secret AR Borden team. I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Michael Lee Hill. Michael, good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, Jimmy?
432, brother. 432.
Right on. Hey, I got to tell you something great about that. Because of Richard Hoagland contacting me, he's now got NASA looking into my 432 ancient Anunnaki technology, which is, the 432, which has been made into a cymatic image by some scientists, and it's embedded in quartz crystal. So that's happening right now, man. I'm so excited.
Richard Hoagland, Richard back in the 90s with those classic shows that he did with Art Bell kept us all up for months at a time, and the internet had just started, right? So Hoagland had his pictures posting up on Coast to Coast AM, and which was that was all new stuff to have images on the internet, right? And you're waiting for it to, the screen to slowly, post a picture,
Indeed.
right? And the face on Mars and the pyramids and the math and what was it? 19 point what degrees? What was his
19.5?
19.5 degrees. The Hoagland stuff. And, I haven't, he was instrumental for so many of us to start this research and go and figure things out. How's he doing? I haven't heard his name since he left Coast to Coast. It's been a few years.
You know what? He's fantastic, and I feel exactly how you do. I'm like a geek. Like, I'm getting starstruck even talking to him. But, what I learned from him, and this is all going to be very prominent in the very near future, is he told me, Michael, I know your stories sound kind of crazy, but the fact of the matter is that NASA has been looking into hyperdimensional physics for a long time. And he said what they're finding out is all the keys to how energy works multidimensionally is already encoded in the precessional cycle. And he said it's all regarding 432 based numbers that I've been bringing to the table. It's fascinating. It's been great talking to him on this kind of level of, exchanging ideas and stuff. And he's the one that hooked me up with some biophysicists from NASA, and they're looking into it. So can you imagine if they find out that just the image alone of 432 carries so much information that it's affecting the Earth's subtle energy fields? That's what they're looking into.
Yeah, I've got my guitar collection here, and I've got one guitar, a Strat tuned to 432, and I'm just now getting my feet wet with it. Will I swing them all down? I'm looking around at these beautiful instruments hanging on the wall. Are they all going to be 432? Well, see, also, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, but I can't help but talk guitar with you. Okay, so now, what do we do with a Van Halen drop tuning? Right, because half of my guitars are set up for Van Halen. Right, they have to be.
That's a half step down, Jimmy. That takes you to 418 hertz.
Right,
it's way better than 440, but the magic number is 432.
So that means I can't play to a Van Halen album, dude.
I know. It's sacrifices we gotta make.
Oh man.
No, actually, it's interesting because all the musicians that have created timeless music adopted that half step down tuning, and I don't think it's coincidental, but 432 is the key. And dude, you're not going to have a choice. Once you start playing that guitar that's tuned to 432 and you feel how much more resonant it is and how you actually feel it more. It's like there's an intensity knob that's been just cranked. You're going to go to your other guitars tuned to 440 and they're going to be lifeless. You're going to be, ugh. Yeah. So it's just a natural progression.
Yeah, I hear you. And on some of those Black Sabbath records, you go, and each song is slightly off, right? You can't play the same tuning. You got to tune up, you got to retune in between songs. I'm wondering if some of those magical things like Fairies Wear Boots is in 432 by accident. I know. All right, let's jump into it. We got a lot to do before the top of the hour. Let's get straight to the meat of the matter. Who is AR Bordon?
Well, he became like a father figure to me. What had happened was back in like 2005 to 2008, I started seeing these orbs of light out over Lake Erie. And I acquired such a library of footage. Some of it went viral. That brought the History Channel to my door. And what's very interesting with all of this is, the host of the History Channel, UFO Hunters, Bill Burns, which I'm sure you and Bill are friends.
Yep.
In that episode, it's called Alien Contact, and it's in episode 1. He says in there, I believe you guys are being contacted by a secret behind-the-scenes group that's giving you a course of study and preparing you to meet your extraterrestrial higher selves. He says it right in the show. It's like, dude, this is 2008. I hadn't met the Anunnaki. I thought, like, what's this guy talking about? You know? But sure enough, everything he said has come to pass after this. I even asked AR Bordon, I said, who the heck is Bill Burns if he knew this? He said, well, he's a cognizant. He's a seer. But anyhow, so during this show that Bill Burns predicts exactly that I'm going to be contacted by AR Bordon somehow. Right after the show is when I actually meet the Anunnaki, and they tell me we want to talk about this unknown blood anomaly that was revealed on the History Channel. And it was by a Harvard professor. His name was David Systrom. They said that it's truly an indicator of the Nephilim bloodline, the hybrid bloodline that we had on the planet for a very long time, and that this blood anomaly that they found is an indicator that you're of our bloodline. Well, dude, at this time, there was no ancient aliens or no nothing on. Well, simultaneously, I had become almost obsessed with this Wingmakers site. It's called wingmakers.com. Mm-hmm. And I read the Dr. Neruda interviews and became fascinated by it because I'm a geek like that. Like anytime a name was given, I'd go and research it. And sure enough, it's real. And then I'd come to is there any technology from this group that could be tracked back? And they gave one example, and it was to MiG fighter jets in Russia that used this alien extraterrestrial reverse technology to in their radar targeting systems in MiG fighter jets. So I look and I find the actual company that had in the blog release that I sent you, I actually have a patent from them for this technology that went back there. So my point is, everything I looked into was much more real than people, I guess, were giving it credit for. But because of this, I came across their study of a subject called LERM, which is Light Encoded Reality Matrix. And what had happened was back in the late 2009, some information was leaked onto the web regarding LERM, and it came from AR Bordon. And I recognized it immediately as the LERM subject from the Wingmakers, but there was no connection ever made between these two groups. I'm like, wait a minute, So I went to AR and I said, listen, I don't know what's going on, but I'm being led to talk to you, and I would like a copy of this latest information. He's
okay,
like,
well, let's stay right there for a second. Mm-hmm. What was AR Bordon doing at that time? How were you able to contact him?
It was because he is the head of an NSA organization called the ACIO, Alien Contact Interface Organization, and they have a public front that is a master's program called the Life Physics Group California, or the LPGC. Well, this information came through the LPGC. That's why I recognized it. So I contacted him and said, I would like the most current versions of this, please. I've been led to you by the Wingmakers. And next thing I knew, I got another person from their group said, listen, AR has told us to contact you and tell you, it's that whole parable of you can give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, but teach him how to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime kind of deal. And they said, we want to give you a course of study, exactly what Bill Burns predicted. And it was all what they call LPG is Life Physics Group, or New Life Physics. This is the true science that quantum physicists are now coming to, of how light and sound create physical reality, truly. And it all's revolving around 432, like Richard Hoagland said, and what I'm finding out. Mind-blowing stuff. But that's how I was introduced to AR, and at first I had no access to AR. He's really high up in those organizations, because the ACIO had even a more secretive division. As he put it to me, the ACIO is where the research and development for reverse engineering was happening. The Labyrinth group was where it was more hands-on, and there was actual extraterrestrials. The Anunnaki had a council that worked with the Labyrinth group called the Cortium, and so where the real deal was happening was within the Labyrinth group. So at first, I had a person who was like my guide, and I talked with him mostly. And if something needed to get to AR, it would get to him. But this is in 2008.
Also,
eventually,
okay, well, hold on. I need to jump in. I want to get all of this in before we get to the top of the hour here, which is that AR, the secret space program and the beta team was brought up at the 2011 Link conference.
Yes.
So tell us about that, and what is the Link conference?
It's a multiracial, meaning extraterrestrial, conference aboard an Anunnaki mothership where many different races get together to discuss timely, pertinent issues that need to be discussed about what they're seeing in the near future for mankind. So in that 2011 Linkage Institute briefing, which is funny because right after that happened, AR got me those minutes. He said, I don't want this going out on the net yet, but I want you to know what's going on, because that is exactly what the team was formed in 2012 to address. And, just down the bucket list, the first one was Nibiru was coming in on a doomsday transit and what could be done. And then that was the main gist of it. But then once we got rolling, a couple things happened, and that was Hurricane Sandy and Earthquake Charlotte and some solar flare activity. And they said what people didn't know is simultaneously that there was this galactic superwave heading towards us. And NASA released that info as well, that they found these huge bursts of gamma rays that had been expelled from the middle of our Milky Way galaxy. They said every galaxy does it. People say something can't leave a black hole, but this is really a wave of high gamma ray light. And it was arriving in December of 2012. So it was how to address all of these things, and it entailed teaching us remote viewing techniques, and they wanted people that were specifically of the Anunnaki human hybrid bloodline, so they would have some kind of resonance on a DNA level.
This sounds pretty crazy, right?
Oh, I know.
Okay, all right. So let's stay right there. So the 2011 Link conference were multiple species of extraterrestrial that got together for a conference that was on board an Anunnaki ship. Correct?
Yeah, right. It sounds crazy, I know, but
okay,
hey.
no, I just want to understand.
That's exactly it.
Okay, I just want to be very clear here. Okay, Michael, were you part of this conference?
No, they were trying to increase the human. AR's wish was to start what he called the Linkage Institute, to get more people that were ready to come up to the table and be able to participate. And luckily, it doesn't take many of us. They found out the whole 100th monkey thing. A lot of people, if you don't know about it, Google 100th monkey. They put it at 7% that once a new way of looking at a problem, is conquered, it'll spread throughout the mass consciousness of like monkeys or humans. They have it at 7%. AR goes, no, it's only 3%. It only takes 3% of us thinking in a higher frequency, love-filled, compassionate way before those thought forms will spread throughout all of humanity. The Linkage Institute was all about that. And by the way, I've taken his wishes and brought back, with the help of the team members that we're going to be talking to. Karen Kirkpatrick administers the Linkage Institute Facebook group. She's worked with, I'll let her tell, but
well, we're going to do that in just a second. I want to go back to the actual conference itself for a second. And to answer your question, I am being prepared at this moment, and I was back then, to be at the next
linkage conference. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Well, man, I'd like to go. I'll get a booth. Can I get a booth? Okay, so speaking of booths, back to the Link conference was the notes you have, and this is what I like, you have documentation. You've posted up on your website. Yeah, you posted up on your website AR Bordon's show notes from the Link conference in 2011. And when I encourage everybody to go and read it. It's long. It's very interesting. It's very detailed. But when you read it, you're thinking that it's in Las Vegas or at the Marconi Center in San Francisco. You know, you're assuming it's that kind of conference, but it is not. And you have the notes from this conference and who attended. And it was on board an Anunnaki ship. And you have the notes over at your website, michaelleehill.net.
Yes. And, you know, if you back up to what we were talking about, all this was happening because AR Bordon was already working with the Anunnaki in their Cortium group within the Labyrinth group. And they had been studying a ancient Sumerian temple that they found in New Mexico. By the way, I've just been recently given the actual Google map coordinates and satellite data to the actual entrance on top of Chaco Canyon. And there's a deep underground military base, a dome they call it there. And so maybe we'll all be going there. We'll make a big party out of it.
Man, send me the coordinates. I want to check it out. We'll keep it private.
I will send it to you. I asked her, I said, because this came from the Department of Defense, from what I understand. And I said, can I share this? This is very recent, by the way. She said, yeah, sure. So I got full permission to release it all.
Okay. I want to check that out for sure. Now, we're going to bring on, right after the break, Charlotte and PJ. Do we have permission to use their last names?
I
guess
you know what? Just use Charlotte and PJ for now and just ask them. I'm sure they won't have a problem. When I understand, everyone's really open books on this. And people that don't use their, it's all good.
Yeah, because I have everybody's first and last names here. And if we're going to... if we're going to go forward, we need full disclosure. Everybody needs to just do that.
I think everyone will be on board with that.
This is it's going to be a very fun night. Now, I think we've set the tone for everything. AR Bordon was the head of this beta team for the NSA, whose objective was to contact incoming Anunnaki for help, survival versus doomsday kind of situation. And, of course, AR Bordon was also the head of another NSA project, which was reverse engineering. And, of course...
And the remote viewers.
And the remote viewers. And the ACIO project, which was R&D. And then, of course, Labyrinth, which was the implementation of everything here. It was like the big program overseeing everything else. So, pretty complex situation here. And we'll start off the night when we come back with Charlotte and PJ. And wow, I'm really looking forward to this. And Michael, thank you for putting all of this together. This is Fade to Black.
It's our pleasure. We're all really excited about it, and we're all feel the weight of it. This is historic, Jimmy. Yeah. So thank you for giving us the opportunity.
It's going to be great, Michael. Stay right there. I'll be right back with Charlotte and PJ, and we'll kick this evening off. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Come and join in on the fun and the conversation. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're of the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
Reclaim your active lifestyle with Angioprim. Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in your veins and arteries that can cause blockages. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com. Talk to a trained consultant by calling Angioprim toll-free 877-882-7221.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Michael Lee Hill is here, and we are gathering the members of AR Bordon's beta team. Secret group put together. And now let's bring in Michael. Michael, you still with us?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and now I've got Charlotte and PJ. Good evening. Who's with us first?
Hi, this is Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte. And Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte.
Welcome.
Hi, Michael.
Welcome.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hi, Charlotte. Welcome to the program. And Charlotte, do you have a last name?
Sure, it's Juan.
How do you spell that?
W-O-N, like I won.
Yeah, that Juan. See, it could be O-N-E, which would be really cool, too, as well. I don't know. I don't know which one's better. So there you go. Charlotte won. Now, Charlotte, as we start to get started here, first things first, how did you meet AR Bordon?
Okay, that would be all thanks to Michael. Because I befriended Michael in 2011, and he kept telling me I needed to get into contact with AR Bordon. And he was on Facebook, and he said, you need to add him on Facebook. And I was like, what would this scientist want to do with me? Like, I was terrified to add him. And then finally I sent him a friend's request, and my husband is the one who answered that friend's request because he was AR Bordon's assistant. And I didn't know that at the time. So I had talked to him back then, and he accepted my friend's request because AR was out of town, and then I didn't talk to him.
This is okay. Well, this is interesting. What you're suggesting is that PJ, your husband, wasn't your husband at the time. He was AR's assistant, and now you guys are married.
Yes, we met during beta.
Wow. Okay. Now, see, this is what I really enjoy, because my audience right now is going through the same thing with us that I'm going through, which is, wow, that's a pretty nutty thing to have happened, and I love finding out things for the first time. So, you get introduced to AR. You are a clairvoyant, right?
Yes.
And was that your contribution to the group?
Well, that and quite a few other things. Like, I was a facilitator. I got the group meetings together, things like that. And then later on, I became AR's assistant for a few months before his passing.
Right, and he passed away in 2013.
Yes, he did.
Okay, so what was AR doing at that time? And what I mean by that is, did he disclose, who he was employed by, what he was doing? What did you find out about him? You had to ask questions, right?
Oh, yeah, I did. I mean, he was a person who was a need-to-know basis kind of guy. He was very compartmentalized. And the groups were compartmentalized. I knew there were other groups out there that he was also in charge of, but we didn't really know who was in those groups. And I never knew who his boss was, although I do know that his boss passed away shortly before he did, because he attended his funeral in June of that year.
Mm-hmm. And what were you told about this group that you were, the beta group that you were about to be a participant in?
Well, I was told that first I was told that they would submit my name and who I was. At that time, I had only befriended AR on Facebook, had never spoke with him. I was terrified to speak with him.
Right.
I don't know why. He just seemed like this omnipresent kind of being, So the person that I teamed up with during beta, I can't mention her name because she's not part of the group at the moment, but she's the one who brought me in. And she was heading everything at the time. And she told me that I would have to get clearance, because she said the clearance that we would have would be very high clearance.
So what?
5 of dogs, because there would be those who are not from here part of this group.
Did you have to go through a normal type of background check, which is your social security number, your work history?
Everything. Oh yeah,
right.
I think they might even have took blood tests.
Yeah. So drug use in high school, stuff like that. I make jokes, but the thing is this is actually what happens when you go through that kind of security clearance. Everything is disclosed, isn't it?
Yes, everything. They knew every single thing about me. My family, my family's family.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. My genealogy, I think that's even a part of it. Your genealogy is a part of all of that too.
And
your genetics.
At what point did they start to open up about what the group's mission was and a mission statement?
Yeah, we had a meeting. We had a Skype meeting actually with AR, but we didn't know who was ahead of everything. So my friend brought me into the meeting, and for some reason that instinct inside of me, I knew he was a part of it. I just knew it. And then she was like, tonight on Skype, you're going to be meeting the big guy, the guy who's in charge. And as soon as AR came in and started talking with everyone, I was like, oh my God, I knew this. I knew this was all happening. So he turned out to be amazing. He turned out to be very personable, very down to earth, extraordinarily intelligent gentleman.
And
PJ was there too.
And what was the original mission statement?
The original mission statement was, he sent me over. The first thing he ever sent me was the making of a mystic scientist from life physics. And he told me I really needed to study that. So I studied that document, which is available here on Facebook. If in the writings of AR Bordon, we have that in the files section. And it's a very unique document. And it started preparing me for what was to come. He only disclosed a few things at a time, and then finally he let us know that we were going to be changing a timeline and anchoring it and changing the trajectory of Nibiru, which he called the incoming.
And and I have to ask you, Charlotte, when you hear something like that, what goes through your mind?
Well, at first, disbelief.
Well, of course, because either this is a big pile of BS, or you are involved in one of the most important things in the entire history of all that ever was, right? I mean, there's no gray area.
I went through all of those emotions. I went through all of it. I was like, okay, I don't know, is this real? What is, what's the objective of this? I went through all of it. When I found out that it was real, even today, at this moment, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe all of it happened. But I know that it's real. I know that it happened. I remember I sit down the next morning after the meeting, the first meeting when I knew what was going on, and I looked outside because it was a clear blue sky. The earth was beautiful that morning. And I thought, I really love this planet. I don't want anything to happen to it. Because he told us, he said, you're risking your life here. You're risking your family's life. But is it worth it? And I looked outside and I said, yeah, it's worth it. That next day I went back and I said, yeah, I want to be a part of this.
Who did you discuss this with, Charlotte? I know that you're entering into some serious NDA and confidentiality at that time, but did you share this information with anybody around you?
No one. My family knew nothing.
Right.
He told us, we signed a piece of paper where we weren't allowed to disclose it to anyone. So I didn't even talk to my children about it.
Did you eventually get a chance to sit down with AR face to face?
Yes, I did. I got to go out and meet him in 2013. It was amazing.
And where did this happen?
This happened in California. I went to go and meet my husband, actually. And I was there. He took me to meet him, and then we went out to a Mexican restaurant.
That's called synchronicity right there. That's the universe working for real. But what was AR like? Because when you're going to sit down with somebody like this, where it's either very, very important or just an elaborate game, right? It's one of the two. And not to make light of that, but certainly you're going to look at him with that set of eyes. You've got to have a taste of skepticism.
I did. I had that all along until I got to know him. And then once I got to know him on a very personal level, because I got to the point where I called him Dad. So once I got to know him on that personal level, I knew he was 100% for real. Like, absolutely for real, genuine. Now, all of it was genuine.
Now, before I get PJ on the line here, how long were you involved with the group? I know that AR passed away in 2013. Was the mission objective complete? How many meetings did you guys have? How often did you get together?
Oh, let's see. Well, it started for me in August of 2012, and then it went until after August of 2013, and then after AR passed, we sort of all calmed down. I mean, we all stayed in touch with each other because all of the members of the group became very close friends. So once you go through something like that together, you're not even friends, you're family.
And what happened? Was it mission complete?
I don't think it'll ever be complete.
Did you?
We haven't gotten back together in a manner like we did in 2012. But I could see that happening in the future.
Absolutely incredible.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yes, Michael.
Last words I had with AR, he said our mission was successful, but we pissed off the wrong people. He was talking about the transhumanists. Yeah. He said they were the ones behind the Georgia Guidestones. So he point blank said, our missions were successful. We stopped their depopulation agendas, but I'll just leave it there.
Well, and then, of course, altering the course of Nibiru, that's pretty heavy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Was that part of the mission complete?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. We're in grace, and we can talk about that because there's a lot of... When you're talking about time changes and timeline, there's a lot that can happen.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And Charlotte, thank you for taking the time here. And is it okay with you if I speak with PJ, your husband?
Sure. Yeah, I'll pass the phone over to him.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Wow, Michael, pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's quite the group. I'm so excited just to hear you talk to them.
Yeah, and it's pretty fascinating. PJ, are you with us?
Yes. Hi. How are you guys?
We're fantastic. PJ, say hi to Michael. He's right here.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, PJ.
How are you, man?
Great to hear that voice again.
Good to hear your voice again, too, buddy.
Okay, PJ, we've only got a few short minutes together here, so I'm going to get straight to it. How did you get involved with AR Bordon?
Oh, wow. Where should I go start with? It's back in when I was 3 years old. He met me ever since then. And then we parted when I was younger, and then we met back in 2009, close to 2010.
And you became his assistant. Was that a paid position, PJ?
I started off as more likely like an internship first,
mm-hmm.
and then it after that it was paid. Yeah,
it was a paid position. And where were you working for him? Was it here in Southern California?
Yes, actually, matter of fact, we were stationed in Southern California.
You were stationed. I like the way that you put that. So, did AR have offices?
Actually, it was a few different places that he had. I cannot mention a whole lot of places, but I can mention a few. That there's one was in Santa Cruz, California. There was one was not too far from L.A., California. I'll say that much.
And did AR adopt you? Am I understanding that correctly?
In technicality, kind of. We became so close that I called him Dad sometimes too. Because before that, he was my mentor and he was my teacher back then.
And
he helped me train different kinds of, like, in a way, like a life training, in a way.
And you come from a military family?
I believe so.
Okay, I'm trying to understand the connections here, and if you were in a military family, were those related? You know, your association with AR Bordon.
I'll say when my grandpa went to Vietnam War, and I heard that they met in the war together, and I guess my grandpa's also working associated with the U.S. military and South Korean military together back then.
So your grandfather, explain that relationship to me. You're saying that AR and your grandfather met while in the military over in Vietnam?
That's correct.
Okay.
And then they became friends after the war. And then he came to visit my grandpa. But funny thing is, me and my parents were visiting my grandpa. At the same time, he was visiting my grandpa, too.
Okay, and now at what point were you starting to get exposed to the Anunnaki side of AR Borden and that entire, because that is outside of everything else that society knows about? When did that start to happen?
That started, well, I've been having a lot of questions about people who are not from here. So I've been asking him before he even explained things to me. Because I told him that, you know, my background of my family is Christian and based off all the religion basis. So I had questions about, I know we're not the only one in this universe. There's got to be more than out there. And then then that's when he started filling me in about the people who are not from here, like Anunnakis, reptilians, etc., of different 132 different species that we know so far.
And when you started to work for AR, and now you're his assistant, and I know that you mentioned an intern type of thing, but with everything that he was involved with at that point, you had to go through the same, I'm assuming, the same security issues. Did you know the full depth of what AR was working on and what his goals were?
He told me in time. He said he was working on a lot of, so he called it stuff. And then he explained things to me, what he was doing and why he was doing, what was the purpose of it, doing it. And he told me his side story of how he started it. He told me about his stories behind it, too. So I don't know if I can tell a crash course about this story or I can have a long time for the story. But so far I can tell you, though, he was very... explain a lot about the Anunnakis and the ancient ones back in, and then all the type of different entities that were out there.
Well, PJ, you're AR Borden's assistant, and surely you knew about everything that was going on. He needs to put this group together. He's working with the NSA. We've got some very complex things that are happening. Exactly what were you exposed to?
When I was with him back there, he had a meeting that they have every once a year. They have an annual meeting. You know how those G20 meetings, those presidential meetings like that. Now, he said this is totally different, but there's a meeting up there that they have conferences together every once a year. So he decided to invite me with him to go up there with him, which was very interesting.
And what happened? Where was it? Who was there?
Wow.
Where was it, PJ? Let's start there. I'm running out of time. I've got to get to a commercial here. Where was the meeting at?
It was definitely not here.
PJ, where was the meeting at? Okay. PJ, you have to understand this is live radio, and there's a large audience that's listening right now. So when I ask you a question like that, where was the meeting at? Where was it?
It was that we now known as incoming, or the Planet X.
Yeah, Nibiru, huh?
Or also known as.
And
that's what we know.
And that's where AR went.
Yes.
And how? Okay, well, let's get to it. How did he get there? And you just said that you went with him, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how did you guys get there? I'm just curious. I mean, I need to know these things. How did you guys get there?
Wow, how do I explain this? It was. I feel like it was in some kind of a bubble. Not the kind that you. How do I say this? It's a materials. It's not from that we have here. It's transparent, but it's not solid at the same time. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. It's that kind of material that we were in this material. I guess we can call it some kind of transportation device, because it was not like you touch and you feel it. It was just surrounding feeling. You get what I'm saying?
Did you go to a base?
It was like it looks like, if you look at those medieval times movies, or in a castle, have a it's like a throne room, but it's a throne room, have a table there that is have some kind of stools around. It's like a round table almost. It feels like some kind of granite kind of table, and has some kind of centerpiece in the middle that I can't quite really explain what that was exactly, but there was looked like almost like a shape of a pyramid on the middle piece, that I can say so far, that I can remember.
How many times did you do this? I've only got about 60 seconds, PJ. How many times did you make this trip?
About twice.
About twice or twice?
Twice.
Twice. And both trips were to Nibiru? And were these a year apart?
It was annually, but another time I went to, that I don't know exactly where I was. It seems like it was in a room, but it was not like the wall has here.
How long?
Some kind of room.
How long, PJ? How long did you work for AR Bordon? When did it? Well, he passed away in 2013. But did you continue within the organization after that?
After he passed on, I was actually in grief for a while. So I took some some time off a little bit.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time tonight to come on and talk with us, and thanks Charlotte for me too as well. And this has been an absolutely fascinating conversation so far. Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, PJ. Thank you to Charlotte.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got to take a break right here. I took it up to the very end. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Michael Lee Hill is the guest. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. And last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products, available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight is Michael Lee Hill, and we've got on all the members of AR Bordon's beta team. And I want to thank Charlotte and PJ for coming on. And PJ was great, and his information, were right up against the commercial. And I was trying to get some more information out of him as quick as possible. And Michael, I know that you were hearing the frustration in my voice is about. I want to keep it. I've got more questions. I need more information.
Yeah.
And
PJ's great. Just because of military upbringing, some people, radio is not their thing.
I totally get that. I totally get that. I'm
totally proud of them for coming on.
Absolutely.
And sharing. Thank you, PJ. Thank you, Charlotte.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, me.
I'm blown away. I learned some things. I didn't know he was ever at a Linkage Institute conference.
And speaking of that, two, I think he said.
Yes.
We've got Karen Christine Patrick on with us. Karen, good evening.
Hello, how are you? Thank you.
And thank you. And now you are, just for everybody, you're the head of the Linkage Institute, and you also run that Facebook page, and you're documenting everything right now. That's a pretty big job. And there you go. So thank you for taking the time tonight to come on and discuss when it comes to AR Borden for this community, he is maybe even an enigma is the right word, right? Where we don't know much about him. Very important figure in this organization, but he's not with us anymore, and so we have to rely on you and others, including Michael, who's been telling me about AR now for years, and we're all intrigued, right? The man, right? AR Borden. How did you get involved with the beta team in AR?
Well, I was, kind of doing my mashed potatoes, this means something experiences in 2009 and 2010. I had some significant experiences in the late 70s, but I had a religious upbringing, so I kind of put all that aside for quite a few years, raised a family. Then I wanted to know. I had a need to know, so I started reading everything I could. And I read a couple of articles of the AR Bordon in UFO Digest. And I can't remember the first one I read, but the second two articles I read really struck me as resonating true for me. And it was his articles about topological thinking, which has to do with the aliens communicating their concern that humans we've been kind of dumbed down, and we don't use all the things available to us to solve problems. We're very compartmentalized, even within ourselves, So I was so excited about this article. At the time, I had pretty not very frequent internet usage and whatnot. I was living on a boat. So I started writing, every time I got some Wi-Fi, I started writing the topological thinking articles by hand. I wanted to really get it in my head. And at that particular time, I was in a very interesting situation. I had been, a lot of the story of AR Borden is who you were up to the point where you got involved. And who I was an experiencer, but I was trying to sort it out,
Right.
So I started doing what you call automatic writing in 2009, and I actually made contact with quite a few different beings. And the automatic writing helped me, I'd be writing the phrases and words down as I sort of telepathically felt them, and then go back and read that. And they were giving me a bunch of information about what's going on, in this present era, right? And I didn't understand it, So when I ran into the topological thinking article, I actually, he called it Topo Think, T-O-P-O Think. You can look that up, Topo Think, AR Borden. You might be able to find those articles. They're still around on UFO Digest. Anyway, then I made contact, and, this is a really complex story. It takes place over a number of years. It's involving what he called nocives. I was one of the organizers of the Mars Anomaly Research Society conference in Silver City, New Mexico, and one of my presentation was the psychic sentinels, and it was this idea of these gnosis. So it's like a Gnostic, but it's gnosis. These are people who are getting information by non-ordinary means. They get clairvoyant and different things like that.
Right.
And that's what was my experience. I was even being recruited in grade school in that regard. And so it was very complex. And so then we got involved in the beta program, and a good way to describe that is a basically intentional experiment with pairs of people. We worked through a protocol that was written out. Unfortunately, the partner that I had is no longer with us. This person is deceased. We had a lot of, after AR Borden transition, everybody's life basically, all hell broke loose. I had to leave my situation. I ended up working with Colin Shepard, who's my research and my partner, and edited and worked with Tim Johnson. So I kind of got pulled away over into trying to find out, this mix of information involving the secret space program and the overt, I call it the overt and the covert space programs. And that's kind of where I've been, is kind of just trying to understand the mind off right there, as well as continuing to be a contactee. I've worked on radio. I've done a lot of different things. But the AR Borden thing is so complex and I think a bit advanced. You have to sit with it a while, the material. That's why we started the Facebook group, The Writings at AR Borden, and Charlotte's at admin. I'm an admin. We'll make sure we add people if they make a request on Facebook. And just go in the file section, read the files. It's amazing.
Yeah, and Karen, what year was this? You mentioned 2009. When did you first make contact with AR?
That was 2010. Then I got involved in communication with him. I met Michael, Charlotte, and I were on a radio show together. I pondered my situation coming from a very restrictive religious background, or whether I should come out with my contact experiences. So I did that in 2012. I got on the radio in 2012. Hey, if you're going to come out of the galactic closet, 2012 seemed a good year, Yeah, and I have repercussions for that in my personal life. Yeah.
And so, how did you make contact with AR?
I made contact with him through, I think the UFO Digest article had his email, and I also connected with him on Facebook. He was available on Facebook. So through email, Facebook, a few meetings where we had group meetings that was organized by Charlotte. So it depended on what we were doing. Towards the end, we had a lot of interference. We tried different conference software. I mean, this was a thing all the way through. Is interference, intervention, I call it the hassle factor. Slack, electronic stuff from around phone calls dropping, weird noises, etc., which has been a feature of my life ever since the situation. The other thing that went on for me too is being a gnosis. Actually, I have a background in the computer world. I had a 20-year business in the computer world, pre-internet, so your bulletin board systems and everything. And I became aware that our internet, like the technology, had been trickling to us from I think DC sources, through the military-industrial complex, and then given to us, I believe, initially to make a control grid to watch us, monitor us. We're now getting the blowback from that, with them, restricting us and calling us fake news and all that. But it teaching us how the sort of galactic internet works. That we're like a training wheel for that. So I'm a sort of a high-level communicator when I finally let myself do that, And I was able to meditate and go into various areas. And the data platform, so Charlotte didn't get a chance to talk about that, we call it the platform, was the interaction between us and what we were working with. But also, after AR transitioned, I made contact through another sort of, TJ was talking about a space bubble. I did this noticeably, so I didn't go there, but I was like, connected to it, and I made contact with AR through that after his transition. So there's a lot of people who know AR Borden who are not completely convinced of his passing. There's a lot of hinky-dinky stuff about that, but I don't want to go into it because I'm actually more interested in the information. And the main information we got was something called idiomaterial physics. So it's sort of a form of quantum hologram theory. And the original life physics group was actually physicists who were sort of rogue in the writing, so they don't get their real names. And they used gnosis people, intuitive, to sort of go in and remote view the substructure of the galaxy and creation and materiality, which is energy-based, not necessarily particle-based. And so what happened was AR felt like more people needed to know about this. So he actually went out and found a group of gnosis to communicate that he knew would understand the material sort of gut level and then begin to absorb it.
That is fascinating, and that's also heavy science. For you, yes. When you are starting to get exposed to this, because this is way out stuff, right? This goes against the grain of all, science and physics that we're trying to figure out today. For you, how did you start to accept this?
Because I was part of Project Talent in California. They were recruiting NOSID kids for programs. Somehow I had a divine intervention that took me out of that. I probably wouldn't have survived it. And that was connected with MK Ultra and all this other stuff. It's like the list of programs just goes on and on. But I was tested. I was brought in. I was tested in multiple situations, my gnosis abilities. And I had it my whole life, but where I used it the most in my personal life was as an empath. I was a caregiver for many family members. So I had this awareness that, the living experience of people who can't even talk, letting me know they needed to be turned over or something. It was that's a natural ability. But we have overt and covert science. This is what I tell people. Right. The overt science is a corporate-based science, and it's, to sell you stuff and to keep it controlled. The covert science is where the actual, the study of all this stuff is happening on a mass level. They try to tell us they're not studying this stuff, but they surely are. And they have been, after I went to dealing with Ken Johnston and reading about the breakaway civilization. I think it's been since the turn of the century, the 20s, the 30s. I mean, the word teleportation was invented by Charles Fort, so that's way back. So this stuff has been bandied about, and, I'm learning more and more. This has been an integrated experience for me, and that's the key. It's not compartmentalized. It's integrated. AR Bordon was connected to a lot of things because his material tied in with other people, and they all powwowed. But he didn't like that. That didn't make it to the general public, so this was his way to get it out there, and we're struggling. It's hard. It's a hard time right now, I think.
Well, it's a hard time now, but it was also a hard time back then too, as well. Things haven't changed a whole lot. They've gotten a little worse, but let's explore this a little bit. I'm very interested when you, because you were an experiencer. The ET question is easier for you to digest and understand. But as you got to get more and more exposure of the beta group and AR Borden, what were you told what the goals were for this group, and how much of that were you prepared for?
Because what happened was I opened myself to be prepared for whatever from my guides. I call them all guides, and there was actually quite a few different entities. Probably the most dominant one for me was I have a Native American, so I go down bloodlines. I've communicated with ancestors, and I found out one of my ancestors was an Anunnaki, and I was like, when you make contact, I wanted to make contact with like a Pleiadian or something like that. Of course,
so right? That's everybody's. Yeah.
I get a 12-foot tall warrior who's got a wry sense of humor. He called his name Godigo Dash, and I was having that experience as well, starting in 2009. And he began to lay out some things to me about the Anunnaki. They were the biggest thing he said. Like the first thing he said to me was that they were factional. And that's really important to know that they're not exactly all on the same page to do any particular thing with humanity.
Wait, Karen, stop right there. Explain what you mean.
Well, I'll just tell you straight up what he told me, and it was the weirdest thing he said. He said, when I was 9 feet tall, I didn't think very much of humans. But when I was 12 feet tall, I began to interact with them and saw in them the spark of the divine. And I'm going, what is this 9-foot thing, 12-foot thing? And I was watching Charles Hall, who was in contact with the Nellis Air Force Base, Paul White, and he said that, that they have a late onset or adult onset growth spurt. It's a kind of akin to Marfan syndrome, which probably would have killed Abe Lincoln if he hadn't been shot, or Andre the Giant. It's a not good for you because your height goes up, but your organs are not necessarily increased to handle the extra volume of blood and all those things.
Sure.
And that apparently is what he had. And what happened was he was interacting with humans, and he showed me some of the interactions, and it was like that we were pets or something. And one group thinks we're like pets or, resources or biological robots. I mean, they don't have real high esteem for what humanity is at its soul core, However, there's another group that recognizes and is looking at this aspect of us, of our soul, our spark of the divine, our ability to, I guess Michael could tell the story of how we're advancing quite fast. And they're a little shocked as they wing back around us. And that was my basis of all these contact experiences I was having. And that prepared me for being open. I think the biggest thing was, okay, let's try this and take the intention experiment to change the trajectory of the Bureau if it's on a collision course. I think the biggest thing for me is a willingness to be open and to learn. That was what prepared me the most, I think.
The changing the course of Nibiru from here on Earth, and you hear that kind of stuff from AR Bordon. Look, we're talking about fantastical, far out ideas here. But that was one of the goals of this group, wasn't it? How do you react to that?
I'll be honest, it's a challenge to like the whole thing is I've got to work through what does that mean for me, and that's complex. But I think it's more akin to, it's about timelines. I think it's not about moving planets around and sort of planetary galactic redirecting it and everything. It's not about matter. And this is key. This whole background of AR Bordon was idiomaterial physics. There's a couple of books, ebooks that are available on that Writings with AR Bordon Facebook group that are, you just go download them in the file section, and you start to realize that everything is energy-based and thought-based and thought form-based. So now you're talking about not moving material type things, but to think in terms of changing the ideation or data or underlying data, or like you think of a hologram is, I always talk about Shrek, the ogre. He's a construct of mathematics. There's a whole bunch of mathematical things that make him appear 3D. And then when you put him in his forest, he goes into the forest, he's going into a mathematical construct hologram environment. And that's all information. So when we talk with a big debate, of course, is the basics of our reality construct. Is it energetic or is it particles? Well, it's actually thought. It's actually ideation. It's actually frequency. And so the numbers are indicating frequency, and Michael's done a great job talking about cymatics and everything. So it's a little bit, when I began to continue to study what we were doing, as we were changing the ideas about it. No, we don't want to have a big planet smack into us and cause a cataclysm. I don't know anybody who wants that. If there's anybody out there that just thinks that's inevitable, that's like the will of God or something, come on. Why would you do this beautiful creation just to have it be etch-a-sketch? That doesn't work for me.
Incredible. And now, Karen, of course, I've just got a couple of minutes, and before we get to the end, I want to take the time here to say thank you. And all of these files are available for download. You've been assembling that over on the Facebook page for Linkage Institute?
Yeah, what happened is AR Bordon just like, if he got somebody interested in him, he gave him some whatever files he had. So we kind of realized after he passed that everybody had a little different mixed files. So myself and Charlotte put together the writings of AR Bordon, and it's not just him; it's also some of the other clandestine, we don't know their real name, physicists who worked on idiomaterial physics. So we just kind of put it all in there, you know. The Linkage Institute thing has been kind of on the dormant side. I think one thing that we have to realize is that I don't think disclosure to me is like the president stands up and says, you know, that the whole ET question is real, because half the people wouldn't believe it's an election year, you know. So it's kind of like, I think that the disclosure, it's more like an unfoldment within us, and that's where the action is to me. So it's like when we make some like almost spiritual agreements with each other collectively, then we'll have this whole opening up of information and understanding that's waiting for us. And as I've done further research, I really believe that one key component of that is we absolutely have to make a commitment to take care of each other. Advanced civilizations don't have starving children in the streets. That was very uncomfortably brought to my attention. Of course, I'm sensitive to that. By an ET I had contact with, and he asked me that, why do you let that happen? And I go, I don't know why. It's horrifying. And also to agree to be kind to the planet that we're on. If we cannot come to the most obvious agreement on that, I think we're at risk of almost more like imploding, because you begin a death spiral if you can't agree that all life is precious, that it's all the diversity is beautiful and important, and it's all, you know, all frequencies are valid in a sense. So we're kind of at a crisis point of that, and then once we come to that realization, I think an amazing golden age universe can open up for us, but it's something we do have to choose, and so that's the crux of our situation now.
Karen, thank you so much for taking the time tonight, and I'm watching Twitter, I'm watching my email, where everybody's asking where to go and read AR's writings and information. And the Linkage Institute, the easiest place is Facebook. And so we've got those links up right now on Twitter. Everybody can head over there after the show tonight, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of file downloading going on. Karen, thank you so much. Did you ever get a chance to meet a Palladian, or are you cool with just hanging out with the Anunnaki now?
Well, I've written a book on caseypatrick.com called The Anunnaki and the Moon, which combines my Anunnaki experiences and understandings with working with the archive and information through Ken Johnston. That's a free ebook. You can download it. And I just feel like well, I've had a lot of contact experiences, but they kind of combined in like a Greek chorus and call themselves all guides, and they're just continuing to show me what to look at next and to talk about next.
Thank you so much, Karen, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you for taking the time tonight for us here on Fade to Black.
My
Thanks,
pleasure,
Karen.
and thank you, Michael.
Yeah, Michael's been here the whole time. He didn't say.
Oh, yeah.
When was the last time, Karen?
I'm listening.
Yeah, Karen, when was the last time you never heard Michael say a word?
Not very often. We're going to meet him at Stargate to the Cosmos conference, I'm hoping. So that's really great.
Oh, absolutely. This will be the first time that Karen and I have actually met in person. We're both speaking at the Stargate to the Cosmos in New Mexico next week. So, Karen, I'm so looking forward to getting to hang with you.
I want to go.
Oh,
dude,
come.
You show up and we will get you in. And there's so many great people. Michael Tellinger. Man, the list goes on. It's a 4-day event. If you want to come, just message me. I will make that happen.
Oh, man. Thank you for the invitation. Karen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thanks,
night.
Karen.
That's Karen Christine Patrick. She is head of the Linkage Institute. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Michael Lee Hill. We're going to continue on. Next up is Clay Price. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com, dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from Rivermoon. Just click on the Rivermoon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Having a little fun during the break because up next now is Clay Price. And, of course, our guest tonight is Michael Lee Hill. And I was just walking around the bunker here pulling guitars off the wall and some Strats off the walls and showing them off to the bunker cam. Michael, I don't know if you were watching, but sometimes I just have to do that. Hey, Clay, welcome to the program. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm good. Good to be here.
Now we've got 3 guitar players that are all ufologists right now on the show together. So what comes first, right? The chicken or the egg?
We all need to jam.
Yeah.
So there you go. Oh, man. I don't know where to start with you, Clay, but I kind of want to go here. With all of the talk about the secret space program over the last 3, 4, 5 years, it's been pretty insane inside of this community. But the talk about and knowledge of the secret space program, it goes back decades. When did you start to get involved?
Well, for just my perspective, as far as this conversation goes, like I really am more of an experiencer, and also more of a not so involved in the ufology and the space program and things of that nature. More on just human development and our capabilities as a species, along with a lot of the physics to back it up. So I was immersed in the technical data, but I was also a personal experiencer of the protocols that we studied, of which Michael and I studied along with Karen and PJ and Charlotte and some other people that were in our group. So I was just had some very, very high sensitivities to chi, if you want to call it that word. And then a lot of other personal experiences that happened along the way. Right. That's some things that I'm more intimately familiar with and have a very in-depth knowledge of versus, some of the more aspects I can't speak of directly.
Right. And when you first got involved with the group, I'm assuming it was the same timing as everybody else, 2009, 2010?
Yeah, same timing. I came across some of the Wingmakers interviews I had accidentally downloaded. For your audience, it was just a disseminated article that had some interviews, and some of the physics were discussed in that interview that were really technical and very fascinating to me.
Right.
And because the technicality was so specific, it was very resonant to me, and that made me want to research further. I came across a single forum that AR was hosting that was kind of a closed forum, and he had some of his partners that were helping run it and field questions. And I got in touch with one of them, and he kind of became somewhat of a coach over time. He helped me through some of the protocols, meditation protocols, and as I started to have experiences and became more sensitized as I went along, that was when I was introduced to AR directly, and we had conversations via email and Skype about what it was I was experiencing and how to kind of hone in on some of the techniques, essentially, to kind of quiet mind and but a lot of the information was based, when we talk about the ET agenda and stuff like that, a lot of it's based on our own evolution as a human collective. And a lot of it's based on the fact that we live in a, like Karen was saying, a very vibrational environment, but it's non-local. And all that means is, when PJ was trying to explain to you how some of these meetings take place, they can take place in a non-local environment. All that means is space is kind of illusory. And so with the right either technology or the right techniques in some cases, you're able to project parts of yourself, not in your physical body, but you're able to project parts of yourself, and groups can agree to do this at the same time, and they can actually meet in different, whatever you want to call it, dimensions, whatever term you want to, but they can actually meet non-locally in other dimensions and exchange information between each other, and come back into physical body and have novels of information exchange without them having to physically speak or read a book or anything like that. It's kind of like you can download information to one another.
Sure. Clay, with your background and your knowledge of life and the world around you, and certainly the ET question, there was that time before AR Borden where where you were coming from, and then as you're exposed to the group and what the group's intentions were, and certainly this whole locality, non-locality, interdimensional possibility, binary, non-physical situation. How did you start to absorb that and understand it and of course accept it?
Well, a lot of it had to do with like the capabilities of human beings. That was one of the reasons I'd call it like a carrot on a stick. It just basically means like when you have remote viewing, manifestation of a physical object, you can manipulation of matter. Those are all tricks, right? They're capabilities that all human beings have if they're at particular levels of an evolutionary connection. We all have these abilities. Those abilities are just symptoms of doing self-work, I guess you could say it. So that's one of the reasons why I was able to connect with. Part of my studies were studying the trick. So once I had some remote viewing experiences and I was able to extrapolate hard data, once I was able to have actual, you can use the term kundalini or whatever you want to use it, but essentially all human beings have particular energetic phenomenon that happen inside their body. Most times it's ignored because it's subtle, but just like working out in a gym, the more that you focus in on the meditations, the protocols, you sensitize your body and your mind to that phenomena, and then it becomes way more concrete. It's something that you can use in your everyday life. A lot of it has to do with being an empathic. Karen talked about her empathic training,
right?
Having a child that she had to take care of that wasn't able to speak, so she was naturally attuned to a lot of those abilities. A lot of people that are empathic, they think when they take on other people's emotional states that it's their state. So a lot of times there's a lot of empaths that take medication and become introverts or agoraphobic because they don't leave their house, because when they leave, they start absorbing other people's energetic dissonance, like when people go to rock concerts or people that hate going to parties.
Or shopping.
Yeah, Christmas shopping is a nightmare for me.
Right.
So the once you're able to establish like a healthy boundary from what is you, what's actually you, and what is actually other people's energetic phenomena, then that's when magic starts to happen, because once you can discern this is not my emotion, it's somebody else's, well, now you're on the cusp of telepathy. Because all feeling other people's feelings is just a broad energetic phenomena, but when you zone in on that at a particular level, you start to get real actionable information from that. So not only do you feel somebody's anxiety, you feel the reason why they feel that way.
I got to ask you, man, how do you apply that to practicing the guitar? No, I'm just kidding. That's a 5-hour answer.
Oh dear Lord! Yeah, I'm a Berkeley guy too, by the way. I love the music you've been playing, the guitar stuff.
That's Doug Aldrich.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay,
Doug.
Nice.
You know Doug. That's his album Electrovision, and I helped work on that album with him. But anyway, enough of that.
Yeah.
I can go right there, and trust me, you need to steer me off of the guitar. So let me ask. But Clay, the important question here is, as you were brought into the group, and now you're introduced to AR. What was your function? What was your gig in the group?
My function was to establish meditation protocols and sensitize myself to some of these capabilities that all human beings have. So I was put in a control group, and then at some point I became a technical, whatever you could call it. I edited technical papers for them. We had conversations about, some of the Linkage Institute stuff, and we had engagement meetings. This is something that all the people that, have been on the call are familiar with, where we actually had interfacing exercises with Anunnaki. The reason it's something that's very difficult to articulate on a radio show is because something that's so intimate and personal is very difficult to share and articulate. So it's like having a very deep, intimate, loving glance from your wife, and you feel it, it's there. Information is exchanged, but it's not something you can articulate very well on a radio show. So that type of information, those types of experiences I've had, but it's not something that's extremely easy to extrapolate on in some way, shape, or form. But that was part of my duty, was to have these interfacing exercises and also to go through some of these meditation protocols, of which when I started having some of these energetic phenomena, that's when it became very real and known to me. I wasn't reading any books anymore. I was having personal experiences daily, and not something that you can really share or exchange with another human being unless they've been exposed to it. And so part of my job was to learn and then also have engagement emails asking, well, this has occurred, these flashes of, why are my feet numb, stuff like that. And then I had a coach that would say, don't stop. That's part of your body acquiescing, acclimating. You're having flashes in your mind's eye while you're walking down the street because you have trauma built up in your neck or something. And largely in part because the reason human beings have not evolved in the degree is because we've been so heavily traumatized. And belief systems and trauma are part of the reasons why we don't have access to a lot of higher dimensional information.
Right.
It's been trained out of us. But when you go through some of these meditation protocols that are no secret, anybody and everybody, it's just a matter of time in. You just have to take the time to do it for longer periods of time. You start to push, energy builds up in the body and in the body's cells. They start to push on where these traumas have physically embedded themselves into the human body. And what happens over time is you start to purge. And when you purge, essentially you're leaving room to your central nervous system has these dormant pathways that are open when you're born. They become dormant and unused as you get older. Mm-hmm. And then once you start pushing on some of these areas and clearing them, then you start to have more sensitivities that are more noticeably as like what people would use as like an empath or a clairaudient or a clairvoyant. All it is just information that's always been there, but essentially it's been trained out of you to pay attention to it. That's part of my job.
Well, and I want to bring you back on the show at a later date where we can actually spend some time discussing this, because it's a very important subject. And just like you said, you just can't extrapolate what's really going on in a brief context. You just can't do it. We have to spend the time to do that, and the invitation is there right now. But let me go back to a comment that you made, Mr. Empath, earlier. Okay. Let's back up for a second. You said that there was a moment of clarity for you as you were going through these exercises where, I'm going to paraphrase, you had like a holy crap moment. This is actually real. And you had to deal with that. Share with us what that moment was.
First of all, Michael, what's up, man?
Hey, Clay, man. I'm just amazed. It's so cool just to be able to sit back and listen to you guys impart your wisdom. I'm just like a proud team member over here.
Cool, so baby. Well, hey, man, I've missed you. It's good to talk. It's good to hear your voice, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Jimmy, I want to tell you, when I went to AR and said the Anunnaki are guiding me into that we're not tuned properly, that A shouldn't be 440, it should be 432. I had no idea what the hell was being brought to me. And so I went to AR and I said, AR, why am I being, like, they're telling me we're not tuned properly. What's that about? He goes, oh, well, let me introduce you to Clay Price. So, he started this road, and dude, we'll talk about it after the show, but that whole subject is led. I told you, Jimmy, with Richard Hoagland saying they found out that the whole precessional cycle is encoding 432 frequencies, and that truly it is the frequency. Well, 432 squared becomes light, which is C, times mass equals energy, right? It's if you run E equals MC squared backwards, it's 432 squared becomes C squared times mass equals energy. So, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for being there as a mentor to me. One of the first things you said to me is, like, I don't even know how you guys can tune your guitars if you're tuned to A equals 440. I was like, what's this dude talking about? Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And to get back to your question, too, I know we kind of got off subject real quick.
It's guitar, man. Guitar will do it every time, Clay. You know that. Okay, so yeah.
I know. ADD. And I'm we can get in that if you want to, but you asked about my aha moments.
Yes.
And in part, I'll give you more of a dynamic, or like more of the sexy experiences, if you will. But basically have to do with there are some exercises that have to do with in inducing a Kundalini experience. And in a meditation, if you have a charge, like the body cells, there's different types of chi in the body. So they're polarized. So when you do long terms of meditation, you actually start to finally balance out the body system. They manifest in the body as kind of an acidic environment of the body, an alkaline body, but they're really negative and positive charges in the environment. And also the food that you consume and the air that you breathe. But like, that was one of my aha moments, was basically going through an exercise and having this experience explode through my body system. And it was a huge purging experience as well. So, you don't just have this experience, but you sit there and cry for 20 minutes like a baby, because it's pushed a lot of this blockage out of the way, which are usually embedded by trauma, and we have it physically embedded in all throughout our body system. So when one of those blockages came undone, that was one of my aha moments. I was just like, holy shit. I'm sorry if I can curse. Sorry, I didn't mean to, but this is in fact real, and we all have this ability. And it was also, not to get on a huge rant, but it also has, for me, it was an epiphany about how religions function. Because when you have the ability to unconditionally love yourself, not to get a little too deep, but that unconditional love is scientifically viable. And there's tons of physics. When you use it, like when Michael talks about 432 and you hear about phi and being fractal and stuff like that in the New Age kind of lingo,
right?
It's also defined as love. And so when you have deep love and compassion for yourself, your aura actually implodes more efficiently. And the more auric implosion you have in your cells and in your body, you actually start to garner more energy, and information starts to come into your body that's deciphered by your central nervous system, goes up into your right brain hemisphere, and you start to experience that as gestalts of insight, inspired bursts, information from other human beings when they don't speak to you, telepathy or whatever you want to call it, downloads of information. The central nervous system, once it becomes undormant, is in part what starts to relay that information to your right brain hemisphere. So that's some of the stuff that AR Borden and I discussed, and then also some of the stuff that one of the guys I worked with as a trainer, he was kind of my coach. We went through that as well. He had been physically initiated into some esoteric orders, and so that's also some of the training that they do. It's very much like you have to acquiesce to the capabilities and the environment. You would literally die if you were just put in an environment.
Yes, yeah. And how do you see? This is the thing. And Clay, I got to thank you right now. I've just got a few minutes left, and probably the most important question at this point certainly is, just like you just said, you could die. How do you control it? How did you learn to control this? Because once it's unleashed, well, you got to reel it back in too, as well.
Well, you could get a little deep, but it's not like really controlling it. It's the fact that there are actually monitors on the Earth. When I say monitors, I mean whatever you want to call it, ET monitors, government monitors that actually monitor for this type of phenomenon in globally.
How so?
They actually will track people that have had these that have had either been struck by lightning or they've had these as children. People that a lot of times kids have experiences they don't know how to explain, but if it's not trained out of them, if it's induced or encouraged or fomented by their parents,
right,
over time, that can actually be a huge problem for controlling interests when you because it's contagious. And that's something Michael and Karen also talked about, but AR really preached. He was trying to help us foment these abilities and also foment the technical knowledge that we could relate to other people, but it's also dangerous in the sense that controlling it, all of our governmental systems, economic systems, financial systems are all based on a particular set of belief systems, and as soon as those systems don't apply to human beings anymore, then for short periods of time, you'd have chaos, especially if people that have these abilities don't have the moral fortitude to act in a society the way that they normally should.
Right.
Because this is a tool. It's like a hammer.
Right.
You can use this in any way, shape, or form that you want, and that's why. I know you had a break, but Illuminati also have, and negative factions have these abilities they've induced in themselves. They just use them for nefarious reasons other than to help humanity. So it's just a tool that every human being has, assuming you remove a lot of the trauma and belief systems. That's one of the reasons. So I'm not wide open. I'm here in the world like everybody else. I have my glimpses. That's what I call them. And those glimpses are what kind of keep me sane, I guess you could say. Oh, wait a minute, we're not actually. It's not a sad reality that we're in.
Karen just tweeted. You don't have to comment, but she goes, "He's talking about the psychic sentinels." That's what she cannot help herself but jump into the conversation.
She's
now,
super awesome, by the way.
She is. One last question. And when we're talking about AR and the group and some of the languages here, there are some out there, Clay, and I know you've heard this, that would say this is borderline cultish. How do you respond to that?
Well, is gravity a cult?
Could be.
Because gravity just is. This is just something that we are, and it's a natural, very natural state for us. So this is just one group that decided to get together in a secret way and try to help foment some of the abilities. But there's no religious angle or giving your power away angle as there usually are in religious or cultist groups.
Right.
We're the empowered ones, and we've been given just a little bit more assistance and encouragement to develop some of the abilities that we all naturally have. The only danger is if it happens too fast. A lot of times what will happen is you'll disappear or you'll be in a car wreck or something will happen to shut down sharing of that type of information. Most people are not ready for this. And so that's why groups like us had to gather and get together to encourage each other and kind of give each other love, because we're all spread all over the place. And there's nobody else to talk to about this stuff as soon as you have a particular experience.
One last question, Clay. What's your main axe?
My main axe I just bought is a Sewer Classic Pro, and I told Michael I'm playing a wedding band. So this past weekend I played in played in Virginia. Can't remember, Chesterfield, Virginia, Friday night or Saturday, and then Sunday I played in Charleston, South Carolina for 2 different weddings. And I love this guitar, man. It's awesome.
Right, man. I would
nice.
Wait.
And I play a Kemper Profiler, by the way.
Oh, those. Hey, I wish I could afford one. It's which one do you have?
I have the toaster model, and I bought it from a dude in Canada, and he gave me he had bought a ton of those Michael Britt profiles and Dumble amp profiles and all kinds of stuff. So I used that, and then a music studio guy that runs a studio here bought a Kemper, and we've been swapping profiles. But man, it is just for live gigs and studio. I mean, it's just you plug in and play, man.
Do you even have a cabinet, or do you go straight to the PA?
Well, both. I actually have an Atomic CLR.
Right.
It's a flat frequency response monitor that I use for stage. And then I have a Shure wireless GLXD system, so I can run around and play solos on the dance floor, which is awesome. But but I go straight on the board.
Yeah, it's amazing how that sounds today. I mean, it wasn't that way 15 years ago, but now it is getting really, really good. Clay,
John Mayer says they're scary.
It's really that good. It's no joke. Clay, I've got to get you back on the show. I'll reach out to you about that, and we'll do a full show together. And I really look forward to it. Thank you so much.
I'd love to. Yeah, and Michael, a pleasure. I hope we get to hang out at some point. I tried to find him in Michigan on a road trip from Canada, but we didn't get to hang out. I missed him by like an hour and a half of road trip.
Thank you.
I can't wait, brother.
Dude.
Thank you so much, Clay. Now go shred for a while.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Jimmy. Love to be here, man.
I'll talk to you, man. Great conversation. Right. And now I've got to take a quick break. Let's do that. Our guest tonight is Michael Lee Hill. We've got everybody here from the AR Borden beta team. And coming up next, who do we have next, Michael? Oh, Joshua. Joshua's up next. Michael, you stay right there.
Cool.
I know, right? It's a great show. Great conversation. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter,
but listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Tappy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and my family is safe because of Numana Emergency Food Storage. Just go to the Numana banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code Jimmy10.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What an amazing show tonight. I have learned so much. Michael Lee Hill, man. Michael, you bring it, my brother. You really do.
Thank you for having us. Tis the season.
Oh, man. It just, and we even got some guitar talk in too as well. But what a fascinating show. And I know that the Fadernauts and the audience out there is putting this all together. And this is what's most important, Michael, is the audience gets together on the show each night in mass for a presentation like we're doing tonight. And it's a rare thing out there. There are a lot of choices that can be made for shows like this, but they gather here, and wow, what a show. Just what a show. And now let's bring on Joshua. Joshua, good evening.
Hey, good evening. How are you guys doing?
And Joshua.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
We got a rule. What's your last name?
Kent.
Joshua Kent. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Joshua, welcome to the show. We've got, this is the last segment, and we've got, a hard ending to the show tonight in about 23 minutes. So let's get in as much as we can. Let's go straight there. What was or is your function in the beta team with AR Borden?
Like everyone else, I was a team member. Before that, I had kind of gotten in touch with him because I was interested in the life physics and some of the things that they were talking about, like manifestation, remote viewing, that kind of thing. And I'd gotten in contact with him a couple of years prior to, and I didn't know at the time anything about their group or what they were doing, but I did have an intuitive sense about what was going on and even who he was. So to be honest, I was a little paranoid, but I was also, I felt like intrigued and that this is somewhere I had to go. And so for a while I was kind of, trying to practice more like manifestation and remote viewing and things like that at the time. And I had some pretty interesting experiences that at the time kind of frightened me in the sense that, like, this wasn't something you take necessarily lightly. You really have to kind of be responsible when you do it and take it gradual. So yeah, I kind of talked to him for a while, and then he told me to get download one of his books. By the way, they're at lulu.com. I believe AR Borden has some of his books on there. And one of them is called Something from Nothing, which is all about the physics of, reality in general, how it manifests, but also how we do that every single day of our lives, and that it's a skill that can also be honed and, in a sense, trained. So that was kind of my initial interest, and from then went on, kind of like Clay. I also, participated in the forum and got to talk to a lot of the other like-minded people that were on a similar trek of information and knowledge. And we all became kind of close in the sense that we shared and exchanged information and ideas. And it was then after I started emailing him a little bit more, we just got closer. And then it was towards the beta that I would say all of us got a lot closer. It just felt kind of like you were just like you've met these people before, and it was very natural. It was a very natural kind of resonance. So yeah, that's kind of where it came in. I've always been spiritual, also scientific minded. I've always been interested in where science and mysticism meet. The esoteric stuff, quote unquote secret knowledge, in my opinion, and these are things people can use and are natural to us, and that we all, it's our inheritance that we all should be able to do these things. So yeah, and a lot of that, also the other side, the conspiracy side, and yes, ETs have always been an interest of mine as well. I've had a lot of experiences that are weird, that range from non-local, interdimensional, some physical, and there's a lot of memory jogging, a lot of things I still don't remember or know exactly, so I don't want to quite pinpoint that. But I feel that they are there. So yeah, that's kind of how it all began, I think.
And then you get, the beta team gets put together. AR is leading things. At what point did AR choose to expose you what the intention of this team, what the goals were? What happened?
I would say in a meeting, in a conference, and he's very intelligent person. He knows what he's doing. He's been doing things like that for a while. And so he's very careful also in how he kind of, talked to us about all of this. And, it's also for everyone's safety as well as, an acclimation, and see how much we get intuitively as well, which we all did. We all kind of experienced very similar things, also very different things. And it kind of, we all kind of just resonated. So yeah, I would say when we all kind of got into a Skype meeting and began to talk about things, it became very natural. And there were other things too. Prior to that, he seemed concerned with something that was going on a planetary level, but he didn't really say anything. It was kind of something he talked about. And it wasn't until I reached out, I felt like I had to reach out. It was really weird. I just felt kind of empty, and like there was something I was missing. There's something that I wasn't doing that I needed to be doing, but I didn't know what it was. It was kind of like that really empty, unfulfilled something, And so I finally got in contact with him, and I asked him how I could help. And that's when he just kind of shot me right in there. And I honestly don't think I felt, it seems like all of it isn't crazy, and really hard to believe. And it is. But at the same time, internally on a spiritual level, I felt like this is just where I had to be at the time. So it almost kind of came naturally, or it just felt natural, meeting, everyone, talking to Michael. Oh, and before that, I had read some of the things Michael had said, and I felt like that was a trek that I had to follow as well. I was reading some stuff on the internet. So all of a sudden, I'm just shot into a team, and my partner's Michael. And I'm just like, oh, okay, this is not a coincidence.
And did you have a title? Did they give you one?
No, I mean, sometimes some of us, like if you want, you can, like, research associates or, no-civ investigators, different people were doing different things sometimes, being trained, or also training themselves, really, because that's really that AR always wanted to push, like, people kind of, earning their abilities and their knowledge. And that is how we do it anyways. There's really no other way. So yeah, it was more like people were associates, and then they, depending on what their proclivities were and what they were good at, they would have different things. But later on, after this, we kind of kept in contact and stuff. And there's a lot of things he wanted to do, which I'll discuss a little bit later. But but he kind of wanted me to edit some of his stuff, kind of be an editor for some of the things that he wanted to do. For example, he wanted to get some of the medicine, if you will, that they were doing out there, and not just necessarily on the internet, but to different, medical institutions and, maybe even scientists. I'm not entirely sure because it never happened. But he kind of tested me in that sense too, and asked me to write some things and also edit some things. But it was really exciting. It was really exciting because the kind of physics that they were doing, biophysics, was all about, what chi and all these things really are in a scientific sense. And it's pretty complex stuff, actually. And what it means to medicine and what it means to our ability to regenerate and order itself, even taking the cells back in time. So reverse maladies, reverse, all these different things, Kundalini, and put them in a scientific format, and then, what the stuff is and how it works. So anyways, that is a title. It was kind of like an editor kind of thing, research associate. But we didn't really use that many titles at the time. It was more just like all of us doing what we had to do at the time.
Did you wonder about who was guiding AR and that there may be other government institutions involved that were going to take this data and use it for something else?
I would say, well, I'm not sure about the data and all that, but prior to even talking to him, I just had an intuition that he was, just deeply involved and, very, I don't know. And my paranoia from that came just because I've had a lot of experiences in the past that I couldn't explain. And some of them felt like, it could have been, something to do with monitoring or government or, certain kind of electromagnetic technologies. And also with entities that weren't always very nice. So I was kind of paranoid. But when I talked to him and when we started communicating, there's a lot of light. He's very, he's very intense, very focused, had a very powerful intention energy, which is another thing we should get into some other time. But he was also very relaxed and very loving and humorous. Now, in terms of any of that guiding going on, I mean, if it is what what we're all saying it is, then that's probably inevitable that there was a lot more involvement from not just necessarily government or anything like that, but I'm talking about on a higher level even other entities that were also organized, involved, and guiding and watching and seeing how this all plays out. I think a lot of it was also an experiment to see what all of us are capable of, and because in terms of, in my opinion, from my perspective, extraterrestrials, a lot of them use what they call thought technology. And it's the ability to use intention to cascade effects into reality to fix issues or anything. It could be a planetary problem. It could be something on a local level. And I think this is something AR wanted kind of out there or kind of to push forward. He talked about the 3% protocol and how if we knew how to use our own intentions, our own minds, our own energies, essentially we could affect any change we wanted. And I think some of that, he wanted to get the technical knowledge out as well as some of the practical stuff. So anyway, sorry, I kind of deviated from your question. Do I think there was more going on? Absolutely. Do I know exactly what that was? I could say no. But one of my gifts, if I have any, is just spontaneously kind of figuring things out. And so on that level, there's, I'm kind of going to step it back a little bit and we'll just keep going with the questions. Sorry.
No, what I want to know, Joshua, what did you figure out? What?
I would say pretty much what's already been said here by all the different guests. It definitely was more going on with the whole, Anunnaki thing, which, by the way, in the books he put out and some of the information that Michael's put out, they call some of the talk for them as SAMs, which is short for Shami. And the name of the planet is also along those lines. It's the same. So that's why they call them that. So Nibiru is more of a Sitchin interpretation of what it is, but that's not what they call it. So anyway, so yeah, they definitely felt there was a lot more of that, but also not just them. I think there were a lot more involved, in my personal opinion, and what I felt, when, even some that probably didn't even want to be there, I think, assisted in that transition in the project. And if you will, in the intention, the group collective intention. And some of them were also not physical. They were, and he said this too, they were onto-energetic. They were existing on a higher plane of existence, I guess is how you would say it in New Age terms, or in a higher level of manifestation, as he would say, or a higher space-time ratio. These are beings who evolved beyond bodies and were more of collective gestalts of consciousness, but could project and materialize bodies. Well, it depends. There were different kinds. Some could, some that couldn't. But they were also very involved. And I believe, this is just my personal perspective, that some of them were from Lyra, which is, if you've read the literature out there, very connected to humans in general, Pleiades and, Sirius and all the way down to Earth.
The back in time issue too, and the pharmaceutical side of things and healing, was that ever achieved? Well,
you mean by us, or just by different people in general, like different organizations?
No, by you guys. I mean, was that something that you ended up documenting?
Well, the thing is what AR wanted to, I think part of what he wanted to do is for people to create their own nocive protocols to generate the effect within themselves without the need for an external technology. Sure. So some of it was, here's this technical stuff, here's the science, here's why it's possible, and all these different things. And then, here are, what you can do, for example, with remote viewing or extension neurosensing. And he also talked about the ability to talk to cells, talking to DNA, which was, I think, one of the great contributions in the public domain. And that sounds silly, but, the physically talking, but also on a nocive level. When you get to a point, where you're able to meditate in a certain way and perhaps even extend your consciousness, you can, instead of extending your consciousness to a target, let's say, some random guy somewhere, or the Eiffel Tower, you could do it with your cells, and you could get information about your cells and what was going on. And, a way to train that, which he called the enteric brain, which is the fourth mind, he'd say. And to do that, it did involve kind of moving the typical programmed linear thought constructs and sensing that we use and moving back into a kind of knowingness. But the difference is with that knowingness was actually real raw data and intel that could actually be very complex, but we had to learn how to reconnect that, how to bring that out. And he also said that was a part of intelligence acceleration, which is another reason why I got interested in his work. Because they say, who doesn't want to be more intelligent? Who doesn't want to be, have that edge, if you want? But for him, it was more like functioning on all pistons. It was not just your intellectual brain, it was your enteric brain. And he actually told me a couple times in regards to skills like manifestation or remote viewing, almost entirely in the beginning process, at least, you had to move your intellectual mind out of the way. And he'd say enteric mind, that's where a lot of this godlike ability is. And, I don't mean to say in a religious context, but it's a processing power of the cells, the DNA, the gut, the heart, all those things is incredible. And there's a physics and a science to all that. And if we knew that, we might take that more serious in mainstream, and we look at it less as metaphysical, jargon.
Do you think with this communication with the Anunnaki and the sharing of information, certainly these meetings and the conferences and the linkage and with that and AR's connection directly back to different government organizations, that it was those organizations, whether it was the CIA or the NSA or the Navy or the Pentagon, that is actually what was going on, that AR was putting these groups together to have the communication happen and then turn around and share that information, and maybe even that's where some of the funding even came from.
I don't really know any that much of that, but it's possible that, any sort of contractor might, depending on, not necessarily the need to know, but the actual need of those contractors and whoever's involved to know that information, yes, or even if there's some sort of oversight, those things I don't know, but that would not surprise me, especially if it was organized and it was something as big as that. There needs to be some sort of information relayed to know, what was successful, what wasn't, how, things went, what was the effect, and of course, undoubtedly there'd be groups that, wouldn't want any of that to happen, and would, want to steer that in their own way. Because as Michael mentioned earlier, perhaps there are groups on the world who, would rather have a more tumultuous past with more disastrous effects as a form of perhaps population control or even other things. And that's one other thing I want to say, by the way, that AR frequently said that our population's actually, in a sense, a gift in the way that every mind is an engine of manifestation. And if only 3%, which was also we talked about, they didn't quite understand why, but in their studies and in their experiments and also in their communications with others, 3% of any given population, even if it was a control group of 10 people, and those 3 people or whatever would, if they manifested an ability and they all were on the same page, the other ones would catch up quickly. And so this is also very important for, I think, in terms of the mass consciousness and everything that's going on today. There's a lot of division. There's a lot of obfuscation, a lot of talk of awakening, but a lot of the awakening is more based on getting information and then kind of dividing ourselves on what's wrong or what's right, instead of developing our ability to actually nocively explore and to think at a higher level and to interconnect and use our intentions collectively, which a lot of people do. There's group meditation and stuff like that. It's amazing. But that was one thing I think he really wanted to let people know about, or at least push forward, is that we have these capabilities and we use it on a daily basis. And it might be even that these groups, that are, more about division and conquering and things like that, use it against ourselves. We, in a sense, everything from the media to political to economic, we're kind of, told what is the status quo and what's not. And we manifest a reality that's conducive to those more than to ourselves. And taking the power back, I think, starts, like everyone says, with ourselves. And we have these capabilities, all of us. And he would call that manifest, produce, observe, because observership is a part of it, and so is intention.
Joshua, fascinating, man. And just like Clay, I've got to get you back on the show, and let's just take the time. A 20-minute segment doesn't do any of this justice, and just an amazing conversation. And I want to thank you again for taking the time tonight. Unbelievable. Thank you so much, Joshua.
Yeah,
thanks, say good night to Michael. He's been here the whole time.
Thanks, Mike.
I just want to say, AR told me personally, he said the biggest secret kept from mankind is the 3% rule. It doesn't take, society wants to make us think that how can we change the system, the machine, and that we have no power to change it. It doesn't take many of us operating at a higher frequency before it spreads throughout the mass. And by the way, he told me that we're already past that 3%. Nice. Now it's just a ripple effect of it's spreading.
Well, let's hope. I mean, let's hope. Joshua, thank you so much, my friend. And
peace, brother.
And we've got to get you back on. We'll do a full show. Okay.
For sure. Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you so much, Joshua Kent. Everybody now. As I've got 1 minute left, Michael, and I want to thank you for putting all of this together tonight. It was way beyond everybody's expectations, and thank you for that.
It's my pleasure, brother.
Let's part with this. With everything that is going on right now, with the chatter about secret Pentagon programs and Bigelow. And
they contacted me. You know that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and they said we know you're in contact with the Anunnaki.
So with everything that is going on right now, and your work with AR and the beta team back then, does all of this just help us complete and connect the dots in that? What TTSA has been reporting on and what has been going on in the Pentagon and Bigelow and this warehouse out in Las Vegas and your experiences, is this just connecting the dots or are they not related? I've only got 15 seconds.
They are absolutely totally related. And it's us entering... The Anunnaki communicated it's all about the entry into the age of Aquarius, and we're now in it, and mankind is about to enter the next golden age, and the cabal and all of this economic slavery system, it's about ready to crumble. So once it crumbles here shortly, we'll have another show.
Hey, Michael, really quick, where's the Stargate conference?
Stargate to the Cosmos is in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it starts the 25th through the 28th, and I'll send you some info on that. Really, if you can make it, anyone, please stop out if you can make it. It's going to be an amazing event, and Jimmy, if you want to come, I mean, it'd be freaking great.
I would love to. And with that, I'm going to put you on hold. Stay right there, Michael. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Camarion. Show's produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Viteau, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster, Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldridge. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. I got to thank Michael Lee Hill, Charlotte and PJ, Karen, Clay, and Joshua. Amazing conversations tonight with all of you. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2018 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, Fader Night, open lines all night long. Until then, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.